Hello everyone, here is Haoyu, the student from WPI, and my major is Masters of Information Technology. Today I will do the presentation for the Project Management course in UMass Lowell, and the title is The Evolution of IT Project Management. So let's go to the presentation. First, let's see the agenda of the presentation. The agenda of this presentation could be mainly divided into two parts. The first part is about the IT development. I will introduce specifically what the important concepts in the IT fields. The first, I will review the development strategies, and then I will talk about the software development life cycle, which is also called SDLC, and finally I will talk about the development methodologies. Then I will go to the project management in IT. The first is go through the risk in IT projects because I will combine the project management knowledge and the IT area issue, and then I will introduce and analyze one project I have been taken part in, and finally I will give solutions and some recommendations to the IT projects, especially the projects using a methodology called Agile development. When we talk about IT, we are talking about the information technology. IT is a very general idea. The internet you use, the laptop you use, the cell phone you call people, they are all about IT. But in the organizations, IT is one of the most important parts to support the daily work of the organization. And traditionally, we have the business process of such as managed order. Then you will have the business requirements. You will find manage the orders manually is too slow. I need to increase the efficiency. So that is business requirements. Then you will find you have the computers, that is IT, and you will think, oh, why don't we make an order management system to help us to increase the efficiency? That is how IT is decided by the business. But for now, IT has also influenced the business decisions, and it's also influenced the business process, which means you must leave place in the business process for IT because you finally will find you must have an IT to support your daily work. And IT is also divided into two parts. One is the daily IT process, which is means the IT teams doing is maintenance or troubleshooting. Like if your laptop is not working, you give the IT team, and they will fix that to and return that back to you. That is the daily IT process. And the another one is the IT development. That is the one we want to talk about in this presentation because all the things like the development of the applications, the softwares and the systems, they are all about the developments, and that is the project where the IT project is. The daily work do not have the project because for the daily work they just like the first come and first done. There are three strategies in developing the IT system or the IT environment. First is building house. That means you just gathering people in the organization, give them the time and budget, then tell them what the business side wants. Then you will have the outputs from the team, and you can say that project is perfectly fit to the business requirements because you are in the same organization. The IT knows the business process well, and you can also talk to the IT team anytime because you are in the same organization. And but there is also disadvantages of this strategy. First, you may not have enough talents in the organization in case you may not a technology company, so you will have a less chance to have enough talents about IT. Then you may have to spend much more time and cost on that project. not only you may stop the normal or daily business process for those specific employees to develop the project for you, that will also increase the cost. Then the second strategy is outsourcing. Just outsource that project to the external companies. The perfect one is they are professional. The companies are professional. They have lots of experience on developing the IT environment and system, and you can take lower risk on the failure of the project. But there is also some cons. They are from the outside of the organization. That is the very critical cons of this strategy. You will have potential risk on loss of confidential info. They will they may be the thief to steal some important information from the server or database. The final one is purchasing the package. Just buy the existing package in the market and you will have everything done. That's the advantage of this strategy is save time and it's very cheap and it's much cheaper than developing from zero, not building house, not only building house or you build that from outsource. But the disadvantages of this strategy is you will find the packages are really fit to the existing system perfectly. The companies want to know how exactly companies process. You will may have need more time to test the integration of the package to the system. The life cycle of software development has four steps. All the IT projects should follow those four steps to make the final project. The four steps are planning, analysis, design, and implementation. First, the planning is the step to convince the high-level managers to permit the project and give support. This is the most important because you cannot do the project without budget or some resources. The core of this step is how will the project benefit the organization, and you will explain how will the system fit the process, the business requirements. The second step is the analysis step. It is the step to make decision on the detailed plan. I will say it is a detailed translation from the business side to the technical side. It's to make a rough plan, a detailed plan to explain how the technology will do to help the business side requirements. The third step is the design step. It is the step to work out the technical definition of the IT systems or the software. This is a technical side step. It provides a very detailed design of the IT definitions, which includes how the system will be built, how well the software and hardware will be in the system, and how well the data will be stored in the systems. The final step is the implementation step. This is the step to demonstrate all needed rules for developing and go into the true coding process. And the output of this step is the test plan and some audit plan for the future maintenance, and it is the final step of the life cycle. Here is just the four steps must be gone through, but there is several specific methodologies to implement those steps into real development environment. Here we goes into the development methodologies. Their methodologies are detailed method which use the SDLC, the four steps. And the organizations will use these methodologies and implement them into the development, the real environment of development. There's a lot of kind of the methodologies the governments or any companies will use. Here is just list some common ones. They're waterfall, parallel, B-model, iterative development, system prototyping, and another one is throwaway prototyping, and the famous agile development, and etc. They are all allowed, they should all follow the SDLC. This presentation will focus on the waterfall and iterative development and agile development because they are most three uh, this presentation thought there are three very important methodologies. First, to see the waterfall. The waterfall model is strictly followed the SDLC, and you can see it go through the SDLC step by step, and the deliverables of each steps could be hundreds of pages, but that will also lead to the biggest cause of this model. When new change in the business side, such as adding new functions or adjusting the new functions, everything of this model will be changed. And if change is in such as the business side said, oh, we want new functions in the system, in the implementation, when you are already coding the system, that will miss all steps, and it's most likely the deadline is not be touched. You cannot catch up the deadline because you're almost finished the coding, but there is the changes, and you will like rebuild everything from the beginning. So in order to avoid that problem, here comes to the iterative development. The iterative development is a method of the rapid application development. It's in order to avoid the suddenly changing any steps. The iterative development divide the system into different versions. Firstly, finish the most critical and core functions in the very early version, and then develop the others in the following versions. But there is the biggest disadvantages in this method. In the very early version of system, the functions are extremely limited because you just finished the most critical and core version. The rest are not completed, so it is not a completed output in the early version of the system. The business side may feel the system is hard to use because the functions should combine the computer side, and maybe the old version is the human side both. For example, you have the system of managing the orders. You have just the sort of orders in the computers, but you have to enter any of any numbers, every numbers of the order numbers into the system. So it's very confused and very hard to use. But in order to fix that problem, then we have the agile development. Agile development is a very brilliant method to fastly or rapidly to develop the final product. And Agile is also an iterative model like the iterative development. However, the biggest difference between iterative development model and Agile development is that the Agile model have already produced the completed version at the end of the first iterations. For example, but completely the iterative development just have the very simple version of the system. Then in the coming iterations, the project members will change or add new functions in the existing project according to the client requests in the agile development. It's combining the clients into the developing loop into the SDLC. So Agile focus a lot on clients. In order to reduce the influence of changing frequently, the team would develop rapidly and give the clients to review, and then the clients review that system and said, oh, well, I want to have that functions better. Then it will go back to the developers and to add these functions or polish that functions for the business side. But here is also have some cons on this fantastic, uh, fantastic development method. The fast pace, because you have to output the complete version of the system in the first iteration, it must be under a fast pace developing. but the fast pace is not a solution for a big product. So the agile development just fit for the small or medium project. It won't make the big project because you have to have the a complete version of the system in the first iteration. But if the project is too big, you won't make that. And the agile development may need employees have high technical abilities to finish the complete version in each iteration. And the customers should be positive to the meeting with the project team. They should be willing to share the ideas of what they want. If in every meeting the customers just say, "Oh, just do what you want to do," and finally they will have a lot of compliance in the final project. That is not agile development. The agile development should always take the customers into account and make them speak their thoughts in every meeting in the developing uh, life cycle. Then I will talk about the PM in IT project. When we talk about PM, which is the project management, we first talk about the project itself. Commonly, we thought the project begins in military, which is the famous project in World War II is the Manhattan Project. And in 1980s, there comes the modern project management, and project management appear in different fields from that time, which such as the IT fields, that is one, and the medicine development and some constructions. In the mid-1990s, the project management became much mature. A project needs three things, which is important, and the three things also called the iron triangle. They are scope, time, and cost. The scope is what the product of this project would be like. For example, to what extent the product should be fit to the scope. That is the scope. And second is the time is the deadline of the project. It's a project needs to be limited in time, in a specific time. And then there is the cost. Cost is the limited resources consumed in the project, including money. It's easy to think, uh, and some labor or the raw materials. Well, it's also count. Let's take account into the cost. The IT development task have all those three objectives. Objectives. So we think the IT development task is a project. And for example, the IT project has the scope, which is to improve the business process. It has the time, which it have the deadline to finish the developing, and finally it has the cost, such as the workers or working in the limited budget and resources. And as a project, there will be some risks. There are two main risks in the IT projects: the uncertainty and the complexity. The uncertainty actually is the change from the business side, and the complexity is the IT projects will have different aspects and actions to control. For example, the agile methodology is trying to reduce the risk of uncertainty by like invite the customers into the developing process. But simultaneously, the complexity is increased because in that methodologies, lots of things need to be paid attention to. The customers should be focused on, and the developments, the daily work of development should be controlled because it's a fast-paced developing, and even the meeting should be frequently managed. The meeting between the developers and the customers. And there are also some problems may directly make the IT projects fail. The source of the problems are the first one is people. The biggest trap in the problems of about people is adding people in the late project. That may be look like a solution to because you think the project is already late. We just need more people to finish that. But actually it's reducing the time of the existing employees. They could have to originally they could have to spend on the development process. They need make time to divide some to take some time from the real development into the training of the new employees. That actually slow the pace of development. The second problem comes from the process. For example, this problem could be kind of meaningless efforts in getting budget because you may think the budget is as much as possible. That is good, but actually enough budget is good. The more budget you have, actually it doesn't help anything. The inaccurate schedule is another problem. You can have a lack of accurate communications with the outsourcing companies. The root of these kind of problems is the underestimation or overestimation of the ability of different people, such as the ability of the outsourcing companies, their communication skills. That is, the wrong estimates will lead to the problem from the process. The third one is the problem from technology. It's mainly from the too much confidence to the new technology. And maybe you will think, oh, that tool is great. So you change the tools in the middle of the project. That is the critical issue that will make the total IT project failed. And technology should be mature and well proved because IT is important. Any new technique has hazards or potential hazards in IT fields. For example, if you use a new technology that no one knows, when the problems happen, no one know how to fix that. That is the critical thing, and the IT is very important. So that will even the project is finished, that will also be a fail in the process in the daily business process. Finally, the problem comes from the project itself. Unnecessary functions in the project, and the project should not touch too many fields in the project. You can't make one project fit all the fields in the companies or the organizations first. For example, you cannot make a system simultaneously fit the financial side and daily business process or the batch system. You cannot do that. The product should just be enough to use. That is the enough. That is enough. No further functions is needed. Any promises on the new functions are dangerous. You do not know you can do that. That will, if you have some promise on anyone from the business side, you have to make that into real. But the project cannot afford that. So unrealistic promise will increase the uncertainty of the project. If you if you answer any promise to the business side, maybe it's meaningless to even you use the agile methodology. That will be totally meaningless. Then I will introduce an IT project I have experienced as the example, and then I will analyze and discuss about that. First, this project is from January to May in 2018. It's in this year, and the goal is to build an IT system for a professor to improve the efficiency of the class education. And we use the agile methodologies, and all the team members are in-class students because we actually the project is in-class project. Then we actually follow the requirements of the professor of this course. We use totally new technologies that is unfamiliar to any member in our team. And we met to the professor the other professor because uh, that as the client of the project 3 times. The first time meeting is to clear the requirements from the professor. The second one is to check the data storing logic of the to see if we fit the requirements. And the third one is to show the final interface of the system. And to the result of that project, actually, we think it is a failure because we far more reach the goal we want to do and far more there's a long way to go to to satisfy the professor's requirements. Actually, we made 3 mistakes in this failed project. First is the motivation is just grade, not anything other than grades, not salaries or emotions to finish the project together. We just aim for the grade that is the wrong motivation to the members of this team, as we just think the project is a mission to finish, not an achievement to reach. That is very important because if you have the correct emotion or to be the correct motivation, you will have power to finish that and all the teams will be together to finish that. It's very important. The second mistake is we do not using the agile methodology correctly. We thought we use the agile methodology, but actually we're using the waterfall methodology because we just met with the professor 3 times. That is far from the enough. The professor should be closely connected to the project. He or she will must be stand side to the project team to make some other advice to the project itself. The third mistake is this is an objective issue. We are too confident on the new technology. The new technology is harmful to this, specifically this IT project. There is kind of overestimation of our ability. After learning this course and analyze the failed project, and after reading those articles, this comes to the solution and the recommendations. First, it's about the control. The control should be divided into 2 parts. First, the control should be on the user requirements. For example, you should use the agile methodology to control the user requirement change. But it's important to strictly follow the agile methodology. If you not strictly follow that, that will finally become to actual a waterfall methodology. It's totally different from the original one. Such as, for example, our failed project is actually using the waterfall methodology rather than the agile one. Then here is the control on the project team. It's also divided into 2 steps. The first step is in the analysis step. The project team, the project management manager could use Crystal Ball, which is the software from Oracle, to simulate the performance of the project's process. Using Crystal Ball is a brilliant one because Crystal Ball use Monte Carlo method to simulate the possibility of how the project is will be or the performance of the project will be. Here we use this tool to simulate the influence of overestimation and underestimation, mainly from the developer side. For example, for the new technology, maybe we thought, oh, 10 days is enough, but actually our worst estimation is actually 20 days or 30 days. It's not so fixed, but if we are lucky, we learn that too fast. It could be the date could be 6 days. It's different. So we use Crystal Ball to simulate that the performance, the total of that project using including the optimistic and pessimistic estimations, that's from the developers. Actually, in the normal project management, the managers could do the investigation and surveys to get the optimistic and pessimistic estimations from the developers, and they can do proper preparations for the worst situation. Like from the tool, you can see if the tool will simulate the fluctuation of each element, and it will, if you set a high limitation that, oh, we must finish that in like 44 days. In this example, the tool will tell you, oh, you have 81% possibility to finish that project in the 44 days limitations. But if the project manager find the possibility is going down in the future iterations according to the investigations from the developers, you should be pay more attention on it, because that means maybe the developers are doing some things they are worried about. So you have to make some proper preparations for that. Then in the implementation step, the motivation is very important. You should motivate the team members. Emotion is the best one to be the motivation element. The team building activity could be considered, because you have to make each member in the team uh, to 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 make them thought they are a part of the ultimate goals. They are as a team. They do not work separately. They are the team to make an ultimate goal, not to finish the project only. It's the ultimate goal they should count. It's from the emotion level. It's the most powerful motivation element. This is the end of the presentation. Thank you very much.